Rare earth miner MP Materials falling over 3% today, but that's following a 10% gain yesterday after the Ukrainian president said he would be open to a deal with President Trump, exchanging American military support for rare earth minerals, potentially among other things. But joining us now in an exclusive interview is James Litinsky, founder, chairman, and CEO of MP Materials. The company just began production of a rare earth metal and magnets at its new facility in Fort Worth, Texas. Jim, it's great to have you on. And before I start getting into possible deals with Ukraine, actually, the fact that we had China not just slap 10% tariffs on U.S. crude and LNG and coal, but also basically continue to curb its exports of strategic minerals to the U.S. seems to be perhaps the most meaningful thing that came out of that country's trade actions yesterday. It speaks to perhaps how reliant the entire world, including the U.S., is on China for not only the rare earth minerals themselves, but for things like magnets, which you're now making here in the U.S. Break it down for me.
Sure. Well, thanks, Morgan. It's great to be here. And as you said, at the end of January, we had a pretty big announcement at MP that we are making metal at scale and auto-grade magnets in our Fort Worth facility that we built. And that's a pretty big deal. For those who want to check it out, there's a fun video on X for those who follow us. But we could have all the rare earths in the world, but if we don't actually make the downstream product, the magnets, then we're still reliant on the Chinese supply chain, sole source supply chain. And what's amazing is, we've been public for 4 years. We've been at this for quite some time. We brought back mining. We brought back refining. We're now making metal at scale in Fort Worth and auto-grade magnets. And later this year, we'll be delivering magnets to GM, which is our big foundational customer. So we've really, done our part to lead the way in freeing the American supply chain from this risk. We have a ways to go, but it's very exciting.
The refining piece of this has been considered a very dirty piece of this. It's part of the reason why so much of this supply chain, so much of this process has happened in China and nowhere else in the world. So how are you able to do it here on U.S. soil?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question, but that's not necessarily true. We operate in the state of California. 95% of the water we utilize is recycled. We have an extraordinary site, and we've been at it for quite some time, making it a very environmentally friendly site, from dry tailings and some of the other things that make it pretty spectacular. So we can do this. We're pretty proud of the fact that we've shown that we can actually lead the way in this supply chain if we're sort of given the time and the runway and the support to do so.
Jim, what should investors know about the capital cycles here? You talk about how rare it is to be able to do this without relying on China in the supply chain. What's it going to take for you to be able to continue to expand? What kind of capital requirements is that going to take? How close to you are to capacity in the facilities you have now?
Yeah. Sure. Hey, John, great question. Well, right now, the facility that we've built can only take a small percentage of our material. And so that's the key thing, is we've got to figure out a way to really accelerate this supply chain. We're doing our part. But I'll tell you, the challenge that we face, and the rare earth magnetics industry isn't alone, but I think it's a key focal point, is, the Chinese effectively sell at a loss in a variety of aspects of the supply chain. And so we are a low-cost producer to the world in rare earths, and we've been able to move downstream effectively. But when we think about, in this past month, we've seen whether it's Jensen Huang or Elon Musk talking about physical AI, robotics, right? I think, you were just in the last segment talking about Google CapEx and all of the money that's being spent in AI. And, a lot of the insiders, if they're 1/20th right about what we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years in physical AI, we need a lot more rare earth magnets. And north of 90% of those today, John, are made in China. And they're competing, too. They want those downstream businesses. And so as we see these headlines overnight about potential export controls or outright cutoffs, there's no question that trillions of dollars of downstream enterprise value are at risk if we can't continue to grow at MP and others like us.